She sold flowers for a living, and believed love was something that only bloomed for others. New York woke up cold that morning. Steam rose from the subway grates, people walked fast with coffee cups in hand, and the street vendors on Fulton Street were just starting to open their stands. Among them was Emma Hart, 24 years old, brown hair, cheeks a little pink from the wind. She wore a simple beige coat and thick gloves with the fingers cut off so she could work. Her stall was small, but it was beautiful. Metal buckets with water, roses, tulips, sunflowers, baby's breath. She always arranged them by color because she believed people bought with their eyes first. She wiped the wooden counter, straightened a little chalkboard that said, "For Mom," "For apologies," "For love." This was her world. Not a big store, not a fancy job, but it was hers. She checked her phone. A message from Hannah, her older sister. "Don't forget to come for dinner. I made pasta."
"And bring flowers or my son will complain." Emma smiled. She worked here to help her sister. Hannah was a single mom, worked cleaning offices at night, and Emma tried to cover part of the rent. That's why she opened early and closed late. That's why she didn't hire anyone. That's why she didn't get sick. She was tying a ribbon around a bouquet when Mrs. Riley, an old lady with kind eyes, stopped in front of the stall like she did every Tuesday. "Morning, dear," the lady said.
"Good morning, Mrs. Riley. Daisies again?" "You know me." Emma chose the best ones, wrapped them slowly in brown paper. "How's your granddaughter?" "Still dating that boy I don't like," the old woman said, rolling her eyes. Emma laughed. "Then you really need flowers." The lady paid, touched Emma's hand. "You have a good heart, dear. Stay safe here." "I will," Emma said, though she didn't really think of danger. She thought of bills and of Saturday rain ruining the flowers. Danger was for other people. Around 10 a.m., the street got busier. Delivery guys, office people, a couple arguing, a group of tourists. Normal New York movement. Then, the street seemed to pause. A black SUV turned the corner slowly and stopped right in front of her stall. It wasn't like the other cars. This one was big, shiny, tinted windows, clean even in this weather, the kind of car that meant power. The fruit vendor beside her, Mr. Gomez, glanced and then quickly looked down. Two guys sitting on milk crates across the street stood up. Even the guy who sold fake watches disappeared. Emma lifted her eyes. The SUV door opened. A man got out. He was tall, broad shoulders, dark hair cut in a clean style, black coat, tailored, expensive, well-shined shoes that did not belong on that sidewalk. He didn't look around to see who was watching. He knew people were watching. He walked toward her stall with calm steps, hands in his pockets. Another man in a gray suit got out behind him, scanning the street, clearly security. Emma's heart sped up for no logical reason. He wasn't yelling. He wasn't threatening. But something about him said, "This man is used to being obeyed." He stopped in front of the flowers. For a moment he just looked at them. Really looked. Like he wasn't in a hurry. Emma swallowed and did what she always did. "Good morning," she said, voice soft. "Can I help you pick something?" He looked at her. His eyes were green, not bright, not fake. Deep green, intense, the kind of eyes that saw too much. His jaw was strong, his hair slightly messy from the wind, but everything in him said control. "Yes," he said, "you can." She picked up a bouquet. "These are fresh. They opened this morning. If it's for a gift, I can—" "It is," he said, "but not in the way you think." She blinked. "Oh, is it for an apology? I can put white lilies with—" He cut her off, not rude, just decisive. "I want the flowers. And you." Silence. The street was loud, but she didn't hear it. The world narrowed to her, him and the bucket of roses between them. Her mouth parted in surprise. "I'm sorry?" He didn't repeat. He just watched her reaction like he was testing her. Other women might giggle, others might flirt. Emma laughed nervously. "I don't think I'm for sale," she said. That made his lips curve. "No," he said low. "You're not." He reached into his coat and placed a black credit card on the counter. For all of them, he said. She stared at him. All of them? You heard me. Sir, that's too much. I can't sell you everything. I have regulars and... Then order more, he said simply. He didn't even look at the machine when she totaled it. He just typed his PIN and waited. Name for the order? She asked out of habit. Lorenzo, he said. She typed it, eyes widening a little when she saw the last name appear on the receipt. Moretti, Italian, rich, important. Something in her memory clicked. She'd heard that surname on the news. Not often, not in detail, but enough to know it wasn't a regular businessman. The man in the gray suit stepped closer. Boss, we're late. Boss. Emma pretended not to hear, but her heart did. Lorenzo looked around the street, as if checking if someone was watching him with her. Then he lowered his voice. You work here alone? Yes. That's not safe. This neighborhood is fine, she said, trying to sound confident. I've been here for 2 years. He studied her. Not the flowers, not the stall. Her. He noticed the cheap gloves, the little crack in her phone, the tiredness under her eyes. He noticed the way she smiled even when she was nervous. You shouldn't stay late, he said. I have to. I close after dark. Then close earlier. She raised her brows. Are you ordering me to? He shrugged lightly. I'm suggesting. Well, she said, lifting her chin, you may buy all my flowers, but you don't own my stall. He liked that. It showed in his eyes. Not yet, he said, almost amused. She blinked again. Excuse me. Nothing, he said. Just keep the doors locked, and if someone bothers you. He took a black card from his wallet, a different one. No name, just a number. Call this. She stared at the card. What are you, some kind of businessman? The man in the gray suit hid a smile. Lorenzo didn't. He leaned slightly over the counter so only she would hear. I'm someone people don't say no to, he said. But for some reason, I don't mind when you do. And with that, he turned and walked back to the SUV. He didn't rush. He didn't look back to see if she was watching. Of course she was. When the car drove away, Emma stood there, holding the card, heart pounding, trying to understand what had just happened. Mr. Gomez appeared beside her. You know who that is? He whispered. Emma shook her head. That's Moretti, he said, eyes wide. You don't mess with that family. They own half the docks. The docks? She repeated, confused. Yeah. Import, export, nightclubs, restaurants. People say, more. He lowered his voice. Better stay away, Emma. Stay away. She wanted to. But that afternoon, she kept looking up, expecting to see the black SUV again. It didn't come. She closed late that night. The sky was dark, the streetlights buzzing, cold wind pushing against her coat. She was counting the last bills when 2 men came from the side alley. Hey, sweetheart, one of them said. He wore a beanie and a dirty jacket. You done for the day? Yes, Emma said, wary. We're closed. Yeah, we saw. The other one had a scar across his eyebrow. This is your stand? It is, and I already paid the... This is a different payment, the first one said, stepping closer. This block is under protection now. You want to keep selling, you pay. She straightened. I don't need protection. He laughed. Everybody needs protection. Emma's hands shook. How much? 100 a week. 100? She repeated. That's too much. Then maybe something else, the man said, eyes dropping to her face, then lower. Emma took a step back. No. He grabbed her wrist. Listen, we're being nice here. A car door slammed. All 3 of them turned. The same black SUV was parked across the street. No headlights. No sound. Lorenzo Moretti was standing beside it. He didn't shout. He didn't run. He just walked toward them with a steady, deadly calm, coat moving in the wind, eyes fixed on the man holding Emma. Let her go, he said. The man dropped her wrist like it was on fire. Mr. Moretti, the other one stammered. We didn't know she was... She is now, Lorenzo said. He didn't raise his voice. That made it worse. We're just collecting. Not here, Lorenzo said. Not from her. Not from anyone on this side of the street. You want to work? You talk to me first. The men nodded quickly, backing up. Yes, sir. Sorry, sir. Go, he said. They ran. Emma stood there, breathing fast, hand on her chest. Lorenzo turned to her. His eyes softened immediately, like he had two versions of himself, and she got the gentle one. Did they hurt you? No, she said, voice shaking. You didn't have to do that. Yes, he said. I did. He glanced around. I told you this wasn't safe. Her eyes filled with tears, not because of the men, but because of the mix of fear and relief. Why do you care? She asked. You don't know me. He looked right at her. Sometimes, he said, you see something clean in a dirty city, and you don't let anyone touch it. She stared at him, not knowing what to say. He was a mafia boss. She knew it now. She saw how those men feared him. She saw how his own men stayed close, watching, but he was also the only person who had shown up when she needed it. You should go home, he said. I'll have someone watch the stall tonight. You don't have to. I want to. He walked her to the corner, keeping a respectful distance, hands in his pockets like always. Her steps were small, his were long, but he slowed down for her. Do you live far? He asked. Just over that bakery. He looked up, examined the building. Second floor? Third. He nodded. I'll have a car nearby for a few days. She stopped. Lorenzo, I can't pay you. He turned to her, expression unreadable. Then he leaned in just a little. I didn't ask for money, he said. I asked for your time. My time? A coffee, he said. Tomorrow, across the street, noon. She hesitated. I work. I know, he said. I'll buy all your flowers again if that's what it takes. She couldn't help it. She smiled. Good night, Emma, he said, stepping back. Lock your door. He walked away, got into the SUV and drove off. Emma climbed the stairs to her apartment, still holding his black card. Her hands were still shaking, but not from fear anymore. From her window she looked down. A dark car was parked at the corner. And even though she knew she should stay far away from men like him, she pulled the curtain just a little and felt safe. For the first time since she opened that stall, she went to sleep with the door locked and with a mafia boss's voice echoing in her mind. I want the flowers, and you. The next day, the city looked the same. Gray sky, restless noise, rushing people. But for Emma Hart, nothing felt the same. She kept glancing at the corner of the street where the black SUV had been parked the night before. It wasn't there this morning, and that should have made her feel better. It didn't. Every sound made her turn her head. A car door, a voice, footsteps. Her heart still remembered that man's voice. Sometimes you see something clean in a dirty city, and you don't let anyone touch it. She hated that it replayed in her mind. She hated that part of her wanted to see him again. By 11, business picked up. She was busy wrapping roses for a young man buying flowers for his girlfriend when it happened. That same quiet shift in the air. The voices around her dimmed just a little. The rhythm of the market slowed. She didn't even have to look up. He was there. Lorenzo Moretti. He stood across the street, coat open, tie slightly loose, watching her stall like he owned the ground beneath his feet. His driver waited by the SUV, but Lorenzo walked over alone. Emma's stomach tightened. She told herself to stay calm, to act normal, but the second their eyes met, her breath caught. You didn't call, he said, stopping in front of her. I didn't need to, she replied, tying a ribbon around the bouquet. He tilted his head, amused. 2 men grabbed your arm last night. That's fine to you? I'm still standing. That's not the point, he said softly. You shouldn't have been alone. I've been alone my whole life, Mr. Moretti. I'm used to it. Call me Lorenzo. I'd rather not, she said quickly. It sounds dangerous. His smile was small, but real. It is. She handed the bouquet to the young man, who paid quickly and left, glancing nervously at Lorenzo as he passed. Emma looked back at him. "You scared him." "Good," he said. "Men should be a little scared around you." She frowned. "That's a strange thing to say." He didn't explain. He stepped closer instead, scanning the stall like he was checking for threats. "Do you have cameras here?" "Cameras? No. Why would I?" "Because you should," he interrupted. "Last night wasn't random." Emma crossed her arms. "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means someone sent them." Her heart skipped. "You think they knew about you? About me?" "I think I've made enemies," he said. "And some of them like to test boundaries." She stared at him, unsure whether to feel protected or terrified. "And now I'm a boundary?" His voice dropped. "You're something they noticed because I noticed you." She looked away, uneasy. "You should stop then." "I can't." He said it so simply that she didn't know what to answer. When she didn't speak, he added, "You don't have to be afraid of me." "I'm not afraid," she said, though her pulse betrayed her. "Just confused." He leaned on the counter, close enough for her to see the light stubble on his jaw, the tiny scar near his eyebrow. "Confused about what?" "About what you want from me." He met her eyes for a long, quiet moment. "Coffee." Emma blinked. "What?" "You owe me one," he said, straight-faced. "I bought all your flowers." She laughed, shaking her head. "You didn't have to do that." "I know," he said, "but I wanted to." He glanced at his watch. "You have a break soon?" "I don't take breaks." "You do now." "Are you always like this?" she asked, half smiling. "Just decide things for people?" "Only when I'm right," he said, and before she could argue, he nodded toward the cafe across the street. 10 minutes. Then he walked off. Emma stood there, staring after him, completely unsure why her hands were shaking. Mr. Gomez from the fruit stand leaned toward her. "You're really going with him?" "I'm not," she said quickly. "Good," he said, "because people who go with him don't usually—" "Don't finish that sentence," she said, cutting him off. But inside, she wondered what he meant. 10 minutes later, she found herself walking toward the cafe anyway. Lorenzo sat by the window, back straight, hands folded, a small espresso cup untouched in front of him. He looked like a man from another world dropped into this one. And yet, when he saw her, he smiled. Not polite, not cold, real. "You came," he said. "Only because you're standing in front of my favorite coffee place," she said, sliding into the seat across from him. He motioned to the waiter. "Get her whatever she wants." "I can order for myself," she said. "I know," he replied, "but it sounds better when I say it." She rolled her eyes but smiled, and he noticed, really noticed, how her face softened when she did. For a while they talked, about small things, the market, her sister, how early she had to wake up to get flowers from the supplier. He listened, completely focused, like no one else in the cafe existed. Then he said, "You like what you do?" "I do," she said. "Flowers don't lie. If you take care of them, they live. If you ignore them, they die. Simple." "I envy that," he said quietly. She studied him. "You don't look like someone who envies anyone." He hesitated, then leaned back. "When you live my kind of life, nothing is simple." "Your kind of life," she repeated. "What does that mean?" Before he could answer, the door opened, and a man in plain clothes walked in. He flashed a badge at the waiter, looked around, then spotted them. "Emma Hart," the man said, walking over. "Detective Cole, NYPD." Lorenzo's jaw clenched, the calm fading from his eyes. Emma frowned. "Detective? What's going on?" Cole nodded politely to her, ignoring Lorenzo completely. "Just wanted to ask if you've seen this man." He pulled out a small photo. It was Lorenzo. Her stomach dropped. The detective continued. "Name's Lorenzo Moretti. He's a suspect in an ongoing investigation." "You might have seen him around." Emma tried to breathe evenly. "I don't think so." Cole smiled faintly. "Sure about that?" "Because witnesses saw him here last night, and again this morning." Lorenzo didn't move. His silence was louder than words. "I don't know anything," Emma said. Cole shrugged. "Then maybe stay that way, Ms. Hart. Men like him don't buy flowers. They buy silence." He turned to Lorenzo. "Enjoy your coffee, Mr. Moretti, while you can." When the detective walked out, Lorenzo exhaled slowly, as if reminding himself not to break something. Emma looked at him. "So it's true." "What's true?" "You're—" what he said. He met her eyes. "A criminal?" She hesitated. "Are you?" He looked down at his hands. "I do what I have to do." "That's not an answer. It's the only one I have." She stood up. "Then maybe I should go." He stood too, quietly blocking her way. "You can. But before you decide who I am, remember who pulled those men off you last night." She froze. "You think that erases everything else?" "No," he said softly. "It doesn't erase anything. But it means you're safer with me than without me." "I don't want to need your protection," she said. "Then don't call it that," he said. "Call it my problem." She stared at him, torn between fear and something she didn't want to name. "Why are you doing this?" she asked. He hesitated. Then, almost too quietly, "Because I haven't thought about anyone in years, and now I can't stop." Her chest tightened. She didn't answer. Couldn't. He stepped aside, letting her pass, but as she walked by, his voice stopped her. "Emma," he said. She turned. "Tomorrow," he said. "Don't walk home alone." "Why not?" He gave her a look that sent a chill down her spine. "Because someone else might be watching now." That night she couldn't sleep. She kept replaying everything. The cafe, the detective, Lorenzo's words. She sat by the window, looking out at the dark street. And then she saw it. A black car parked by the curb, lights off, silent. Her heart raced, but she didn't move. She knew it was him. He wasn't threatening her. He was guarding her. She should have been angry. She should have called the police. But instead she whispered to herself, "You're impossible, Lorenzo Moretti." The next morning, when she arrived at the stall, a single red rose lay on the counter. No note, no name, just one perfect flower. Emma looked around. The street was empty, but somewhere nearby, she knew he was watching, and deep down, she didn't want him to stop. Emma hadn't planned on seeing him again so soon. After the detective showed up at the cafe, her mind kept telling her the smart thing was to stay away. Stay with flowers. Stay with simple people. Stay with the life you can explain. But life doesn't always listen to what the mind says. 2 days passed. Lorenzo didn't come to the stall. No black SUV, no rose on the counter, no message. At first, she felt relieved. Then, she felt something else. She wouldn't call it missing him. That would be too much. It was just silence. A strange silence on the street, like something important wasn't there. On the third day, right before closing, a man in a dark suit approached. Not Lorenzo, but clearly one of his. "Miss Hart?" he asked politely. "Yes?" "Mr. Moretti asked if you could deliver an arrangement tonight." "Tonight?" she repeated. "I don't do night deliveries." "I'll drive you," the man said. "You'll be safe." Emma hesitated. "Where to?" "The Moretti," he said, like it was obvious. She blinked. The restaurant. Everyone in New York had heard of it. An Italian place that was impossible to get into unless you had money or power. Now she knew why. The man nodded. "He wants flowers on the private floor." Emma looked back at her stall, at the buckets of unsold flowers, at the fading sun. Extra money would help. Hannah needed diapers for her son. Rent was coming. And the truth was, she wanted to see him. "Okay," she said finally. "I'll go." The car took her from the market to downtown in less than 20 minutes. The city lights glowed against the glass, and Emma watched the people outside, wondering how many of them knew that in this same city, in this same night, mafia bosses had dinner like regular people. When the car stopped, she stared up at the building. The Moretti. Tall, elegant, black glass, warm light at the entrance. Two men at the door. Not a tourist place. Not a place you just walked into. The driver opened her door. "This way, Miss Hart." Inside, the restaurant was beautiful. Dark wood, soft music, wine bottles displayed behind glass, people in good clothes talking in low voices. It smelled like garlic, basil, and money. Heads turned when she walked in. Not because she was dressed fancy. She wasn't. But because she didn't belong. She wore jeans, boots, a clean blouse, hair down. No makeup except a little gloss. She carried a box of flowers in her arms. The hostess nodded and said, "Top floor." "He's waiting." "He's waiting." She took the elevator up, her heart louder with each floor. When the doors opened, she entered another world. The top floor wasn't a dining room. It was private. Sofas, a bar, big windows with a view of the city. Two men stood near the door, armed but relaxed. And near the window, in a black shirt with the sleeves rolled up, was Lorenzo Moretti. He was talking to another man, but when he saw her, he stopped mid-sentence. "Emma?" he said, and the way he said her name made the other man turn to look too. "Hi," she said, suddenly feeling shy. "You ordered flowers?" He smiled. "I ordered you." She made a face. "That sounds wrong." He chuckled, actually chuckled, and the two men near the door exchanged a look like they'd just seen snow in summer. "Come in," Lorenzo said, walking toward her. "Let me see what you brought." She opened the box. White lilies, blush roses, eucalyptus. "You remembered," he said. "Remembered what?" "That first day you said flowers can make people happy," he said. "These look like peace." She blinked. "You remember everything I say?" "When I listen, I listen." He took the arrangement from her carefully, like it mattered, because it came from her. He placed it on a table near the window. Only then did she realize the other man was still there. Dark hair, sharp eyes, Italian too, but colder. "This her?" the man asked. Lorenzo's eyes hardened instantly. "That's enough, Bianchi." Emma froze. Bianchi. She remembered that name from the news too. Different family, not his. Bianchi gave her a smile that wasn't friendly. "Pretty florist. You always had good taste, Lorenzo." Lorenzo stepped between them without even thinking about it. "You don't look at her, you don't talk to her, you don't even remember her face." Bianchi lifted his hands. "Relax. I came to talk business, not steal your decoration." "Decoration." Emma almost said something, but Lorenzo beat her to it. "She's not decoration," he said, voice low. "She's under my protection." That sentence hung in the air. Bianchi looked amused. "Oh, so that rumor was true." "What rumor?" Emma asked before she could stop herself. Bianchi's eyes flicked to her. "That the great Lorenzo Moretti stopped his car. For a flower girl." Lorenzo's jaw clenched. "We're done here." Bianchi laughed, walked toward the elevator. "Careful, amico. Enemies look for soft spots." He left. Emma turned to Lorenzo. "Who was that?" "No one you need to worry about," he said. "That's not an answer." He looked at her, really looked, weighing how much to tell. "Riccardo Bianchi," he said at last. "Old family, loves chaos, likes to poke at things that aren't his. And I was, what, a thing to poke?" "You were a message," he said. "He wanted me to know he saw you." Emma's stomach dropped. "So because you helped me, I'm in danger?" "You were in danger because men like him don't respect boundaries," Lorenzo said. "I do." She stared at him, that mix of fear and attraction returning. "You should have stayed away." "I tried," he said simply. "Didn't work." He motioned to the bar. "You want something to drink?" "I don't drink," she said. "Water, then." He poured her a glass himself, not the staff, not one of his men. Him. It was a small thing, but it told her something. He wasn't playing with her. He wanted her comfortable here. She took the glass. "This is your world?" "One of them. It's a lot." "It is," he said. "That's why I didn't bring you before." "Why did you bring me now?" He stepped closer. so close she had to tilt her head to look at him. Because I wanted you to see it before someone else showed it to you the wrong way, he said. I don't want you to hear about me in a cop's office. I want you to hear it from me. She swallowed. Okay, then tell me. He took a breath, eyes never leaving hers. I run things, he said. Clubs, shipping, security. Some of it is clean, some of it isn't. I have men who follow me. I have enemies who want what I have. I've done things I'm not proud of, and some I'd do again. People fear me. He paused. But I don't want you to, he added, softer. Her heart squeezed. Why? She whispered. Because you looked at me on that street like I was just a man buying flowers, he said. No one does that. She let out a slow breath. Maybe because I didn't know who you were. He smiled faintly. And now that you do? She didn't answer right away. She went to the window instead, looking at the city lights. He let her. He didn't rush. After a moment, she said, I should stay away from you. Yes, but I don't want to. He closed his eyes for a second, like that admission did something to him. Then don't, he said. It's not that simple, Lorenzo, she said, turning back to him. There was a detective. There was that man just now. You have enemies. I sell flowers. We don't match. You make it sound like I'm trying to marry you, he said, teasing just enough to make her smile again. I only asked for your time. You asked for more than that, she said quietly. You asked for me. His eyes darkened. I did. Silence fell between them, not awkward, just heavy, full of something that hadn't been said yet. He walked over to her, slow, giving her every chance to step back. She didn't. He stopped in front of her, close enough for her to smell his cologne, see the veins on his forearms where his sleeves were rolled up. Emma, he said, her name almost a caress. I can protect you, but protection has a price. Her chest rose. What price? You let me, he said. You don't fight me every time I tell you not to walk alone. You call when something is wrong. You don't hide from me. That's control, she said. That's keeping you alive, he said. In my world, those two things look the same. She looked up at him, eyes shining. And what do I get? He leaned even closer, his voice dropping. You get me. Her heart pounded. She could feel the warmth of him, the tension, the restraint. He wasn't touching her, but every part of him wanted to. Her gaze dropped to his mouth. His eyes followed hers. For a moment, the city outside didn't exist. It was just a mafia boss and a florist in a private room, both pretending they could stay away. He lifted his hand slowly, giving her time to stop him. She didn't. He touched her cheek, thumb brushing her skin, gentle for a man like him. Emma's breath hitched. You're shaking, he murmured. I'm not used to this, she whispered. To what? To a man like you looking at me like that. How am I looking at you? Like I'm special. His gaze softened. You are. That was almost the moment. Almost the kiss. Almost the point where she would have let herself fall. But the elevator dinged. Lorenzo pulled his hand back immediately, jaw hardening, eyes going cold again. The switch was instant. Vince, the right-hand man, stepped out. Boss, we've got something. Lorenzo didn't take his eyes off Emma. What? The guys who tried to tax the market? They belonged to Bianchi's people. He's pushing in. Lorenzo cursed under his breath in Italian. Emma's stomach twisted. So I really am in the middle of this. You are, Lorenzo said, honest as always. But I put you there, so I'll take you out. How? She asked. He looked at Vince. From tonight on, 2 men stay on her block. No one approaches the stall. No one follows her sister. Anyone tries, we shut it down. Yes, boss. Emma opened her mouth to protest, but Lorenzo spoke first. This is the line, Emma, he said. The one you didn't want to cross. I know, she said quietly. But you crossed it, he said, the second you let me walk you home. She looked at him, heart aching with something that wasn't just fear. "And now?" she asked. "Now," he said, eyes burning into hers. "You stay close to me, or they'll use you to get to me." He stepped back, putting the distance she needed, but didn't want. "Go home," he said. "My driver will take you." She hesitated. "And you?" "I have to deal with Bianchi." "Is it dangerous?" "In my life," he said, "everything is dangerous." She bit her lip. "Don't get hurt." For a second, the boss was gone, and it was just a man looking at a woman who cared. "I won't," he said. "I have a florist to buy flowers from." She smiled despite the fear. As she stepped into the elevator, he called her name one last time. "Emma." She turned. He looked straight at her. "You're mine now." The doors closed on her shocked, breathless face, and on him, standing there with his jaw set, ready to start a war over a girl who only wanted to sell flowers. Emma woke up the next morning thinking maybe she had dreamed everything. The private floor, the view of the city, Riccardo Bianchi looking at her like she was a target, and Lorenzo saying, "You're mine now." But when she pulled the curtain and looked down at the street, the dream turned real. There was a car parked near the corner. Not the same SUV, a different one. Dark, windows up, two men inside, watching. Not the kind of men who were lost, the kind of men who were there for a reason. Lorenzo's men. She sighed and let the curtain fall. So this was it. Once a mafia boss said you were under his protection. You were under his protection. She got ready for work anyway. Jeans, sweater, coat, hair in a ponytail. She grabbed her phone and sent a message to her sister. "Emma, I'll pass there tonight." "Want me to bring flowers?" Hannah, "Flowers no, groceries yes." Emma, "Okay." Life went on, or at least she tried to make it. At the stall, the vendors noticed right away. "Whoa," Mr. Gomez whispered, eyes wide. "You see that?" "What?" Emma asked, playing dumb. He nodded toward the street. "Two guys been sitting there since 7. Suit, earpiece, no coffee. That's mob, Emma." "Don't say that out loud," she hissed. "You in trouble?" She hesitated. "Protected." He raised his brows. "That's the same thing." She didn't answer. Around 9, one of the men from the car got out. He wasn't intimidating in the loud way. He was calm, serious, professional. "Miss Hart," he said. "Vince sent me. We'll be close." "Close how?" she asked. "Close," he repeated. "You can work. We'll do the rest." She nodded, even though inside her stomach twisted. This wasn't her world. She sold flowers. She wasn't supposed to have guards. But Riccardo Bianchi had looked at her. And Bianchi was the kind of man who did things just to make a point. She got customers. She smiled. She wrapped bouquets. But every time a stranger got too close, one of Lorenzo's men looked up. It was subtle, but it was there, the invisible circle around her. At lunchtime, she saw a familiar figure crossing the street. Her sister, Hannah. Blonde hair in a messy bun, big coat, pushing a stroller with her little boy, Mason, inside. Emma's eyes widened. "Hannah, what are you doing here?" "Hi to you too," Hannah said, laughing. "I was nearby. Thought I'd say hi." "You can't just show up." "Wow," Hannah said, looking around. "Since when is the flower stand VIP?" She noticed the men. "Who are they?" Emma lowered her voice. "I'll explain later. Just don't talk to anyone." Hannah's eyes narrowed. "Is this about that guy?" "What guy?" "The one you described like this. Tall, expensive, scary, hot," Hannah said without shame. "That guy?" Emma blushed. "I never said hot." "You didn't have to," Hannah said. "I know your tone." Before Emma could argue, one of Lorenzo's men approached, respectful but alert. "Is this your sister?" he asked. "Yes," Emma said. "She's fine." The man nodded. "We just needed to confirm. The boss said family too." Emma's heart squeezed. He'd remembered. He'd included Hannah without her asking. Hannah raised a brow. "Boss?" Emma exhaled. "Okay, fine. I'll explain. But not here." She closed the stall a bit earlier than usual, which she hated, but Lorenzo had said she shouldn't stay out late, and now she had 2 other lives to think about. They went to Hannah's apartment, a smaller, older building, a few blocks away. While Hannah warmed up leftovers for Mason, Emma told her everything. Well, almost everything. She told her about the men trying to extort her, about Lorenzo showing up, about the detective warning her, about the rival who saw her, about the guards. Hannah listened quietly, which was rare. "So, let me get this straight," Hannah said finally. "You met a mafia boss because he bought flowers, and now you have bodyguards." "Yes." "And he's into you?" Emma looked down. "Yes." Hannah stared at her for a long moment. "And you're into him?" Emma covered her face. "I don't even know him, hon." "You know enough," Hannah said. "You know he shows up. You know he protects. You know he's dangerous. That's how they get you." "He's not playing," Emma said suddenly. "That's what scares me. He's serious, like long-term serious, like he already decided." Hannah leaned on the counter. "Then be smart. If you're gonna like a dangerous man, make sure the danger is useful." "That's not funny." "I'm not joking," Hannah said. "Emma, men like that don't give second chances. If he's protecting you, let him. But make sure he protects me and Mason too." "He already said that," Emma murmured. Hannah's eyes softened. "Then maybe he's not the worst kind." They were still talking when Hannah's phone buzzed. She checked it and frowned. "What?" Emma asked. "There's a black car outside," Hannah said. "I thought it was yours, but the plate is different." Emma's stomach dropped. She went to the window. There was indeed another car. Not Lorenzo's, not the one with his men. This one had 2 men in it, different faces. One of them was on the phone, looking up at the building. Emma's heart raced. "That's not them." Hannah grabbed her son. "Emma." Emma pulled out Lorenzo's black card with the number. She called. He picked up on the second ring. "Emma." She didn't realize how much she wanted to hear his voice until right then. "There's a car outside my sister's building. Not yours." His tone changed instantly. "Describe it." She did. He swore in Italian. "Listen to me," he said. "You are not to leave that apartment. My men are 2 blocks away. They'll be there in 1 minute." "What if they come up?" Emma whispered. "They won't," he said, "because I'll make sure they don't." "Lorenzo." "Emma," he said, voice low but firm. "This is why I told you to stay close." The line went dead. Emma turned to Hannah. "We have to stay inside." Hannah nodded, eyes wide, holding Mason close. "Who are they?" "Probably the other guy," Emma said. "The one from the restaurant." "Ricardo?" Emma stared. "You remember his name?" "I Googled Moretti, New York after your message, Emma." "I'm not stupid," Hannah said. "This is serious." They waited. Less than a minute later, there was movement on the street. 2 of Lorenzo's men came from the corner, walking fast. They didn't wave, didn't shout. They just approached the other car. From upstairs, Emma couldn't hear what was said, but she saw the body language. The men in the strange car didn't like being told to leave. One of them gestured at the building like he had a right to be there. One of Lorenzo's men showed a gun. Not pointed, just shown. The strange car left. Emma finally breathed. 2 minutes later, her phone rang again. "Are you okay?" Lorenzo asked. "Yes," Emma said. They left. "You're not staying there tonight." "What?" "You heard me," he said. "Pack what you need. I'm sending a car. You and your sister and the boy. You're moving to a safe place." "Lorenzo, she has a life." "Not anymore," he said. "Not until I finish this." "Finish what?" "Bianchi," he said. "He wants to use you. He thinks I'll back off if he gets too close. He's wrong." She paced the living room. "We can't just move. We have jobs. We have—" "Emma," he said. And now his voice was not the boss voice. It was the man voice. "I almost lost you over a flower stand. I'm not risking you in an old building with a broken entry door." She clenched her jaw. "You can't just take over my life." "I already did," he said quietly. "And you let me." That shut her up. He softened his tone. It won't be forever. Just until this calms down. I'll put you somewhere my men can watch. Where? A condo I use, he said. Riverview, good security, you'll like it. I don't need to like it, she muttered. I just need to be safe. He exhaled. Exactly. That night, a different SUV picked them up. Hannah didn't complain, especially when she saw the inside of the car. Damn, she whispered. Okay, if you're gonna date a mafia boss, at least he has taste. I'm not dating him, Emma said automatically. Hannah grinned. Sure. The condo was in a better part of the city. Modern building, doorman, cameras, private elevator. The apartment itself was simple but elegant. Big windows looking out over the water, neutral colors, clearly a place Lorenzo used to meet, to work, to stay away from people. Now it was theirs. Emma walked to the window. You really had all this ready? The man who brought them, Vince, nodded. Boss plans things ahead. Does he do this a lot? She asked. Hide women? Vince almost smiled. No, this is new. Something warm bloomed in her chest. Hannah took Mason to the room. Vince briefed Emma on the security. Door stays locked. We're downstairs 24/7. You call this number if you see anything. Boss will probably come by later. Tonight? Vince nodded. He's angry. Because of me? Because they got too close to you, Vince said. He doesn't like his weaknesses exposed. Emma looked at him. Am I a weakness? Vince looked uncomfortable. For him? Yeah. When he left, the apartment got quiet. City lights blinked through the glass. Hannah put Mason to sleep and came back to the living room with a blanket. He really moved us, she said, almost impressed. This is some movie stuff. It's not a movie, Emma said. It's real. That man outside could have taken you. But he didn't, Hannah said. Because your mafia boss has bigger guns. Hannah. What? Hannah laughed softly. Stop pretending you don't like it. You like that he shows up. You like that he protects. You like that he chose you. Emma looked down. I didn't ask to be chosen. Sometimes we don't get chosen when we ask, Hannah said gently. Sometimes we get chosen when we need. Before Emma could answer, there was a knock on the door. It wasn't loud, it wasn't rushed, but she knew who it was. She opened. Lorenzo stood there, coat still on, hair slightly messy from the wind, eyes sharp, angry, worried, all at once. The second he saw her, some of the tension in his shoulders dropped. You're here, he said. I'm here. He stepped inside, scanned the apartment like a man checking a perimeter. He nodded to Hannah. Thank you for letting us stay, Hannah said. You're Emma's family, he said. So you're mine too. That made Hannah blink. She mouthed to Emma, marry him, and disappeared into the bedroom. Emma folded her arms. You can't just relocate people's lives. I can, and I did, he said. Because a man who wants to hurt me was parked outside your sister's building. You think he was going to take me? I think he wanted to see how close he could get, Lorenzo said. Next time he'd get closer. Emma swallowed. I don't like this. Neither do I, he said. I like you in your flower stall. I like you laughing with old ladies. I like you without guards. But that's not where we are anymore. She stared at him. Because of you. Yes, he said, not denying it. Because of me. She walked toward the window, hugging herself. So this is the price. He frowned. What price? Protection, she said. You said it had a price. The price is losing my freedom. He was quiet for a moment. Then he walked to her, slow, careful. He stood behind her, not touching her yet. Listen to me, he said, voice low near her ear. If I didn't care, I would have just sent men to scare those guys. I wouldn't move you. I wouldn't come here. I wouldn't look like this. She turned. Like what? He met her eyes. Like a man who suddenly has something to lose, he said. That hit her harder than anything else. She searched his face. Why me? Because you were soft when everything else in my life was hard, he said. Because you smiled at me like I wasn't a monster. Because you sell life in a city full of people selling pain. Her throat worked. I don't want to be a target. Then stay where I put you, he said. Let me end this. And how will you end it? His eyes went cold for a second. I'll talk to him. Talk, she repeated, skeptical. In my language, he said. She didn't push. She didn't want details. She just wanted to know if he'd come back. Will you be okay? He actually smiled just a little. You're in a secure building guarded by my men, and you're asking if I'll be okay? Yes, she said. Because if you're not, then all of this was for nothing. He looked at her like that answer pleased him more than anything. He lifted his hand, and this time he didn't stop himself. He touched her face, thumb brushing her cheekbone, fingers sliding to the back of her neck. She leaned into it without thinking. I'm going to end this, he said. After that, I want you back in your stall. I want you laughing. I want you where I found you. And you? She whispered. I'll be where you are, he said. That's the problem. She almost laughed, almost cried. You make everything complicated. No, he said. My world makes it complicated. You make it worth it. Their faces were close now, closer than they had been at the restaurant. The city lights made his eyes look greener. Her breath hitched. His hand slid to her jaw. This time, no elevator interrupted. He leaned in and kissed her, not rushed, not possessive, not boss-like, warm, focused, like he'd been thinking about it since the day on the sidewalk. She kissed him back, hands on his chest, feeling the steady, solid strength of him. He tasted like coffee and mint. He smelled like cold air and cologne. He kissed her like he'd waited, like he was relieved she wasn't pulling away. When he finally pulled back, he rested his forehead on hers. That, he said, is also part of the price. She laughed softly, breathless. I think I can pay that. His phone buzzed. The mood changed. He looked at the screen, jaw tightening. Vince? Emma watched his face as he listened. It got harder, sharper. Where? He asked. Pause. He followed the sister before we got there? Lorenzo's eyes darkened. So he was testing the kid too. Emma's blood ran cold. What? Lorenzo held up a hand to calm her. No, she's fine. They didn't touch her, but he sent a message. He ended the call. What message? Emma asked, heart racing. Lorenzo looked at her, and for the first time she saw real anger. Not irritation, not annoyance. Fury. He wanted me to know he can reach what I love, he said. She stared at him. What you love? He didn't correct it. He grabbed his coat. Where are you going? She asked. He kissed her forehead, fast, protective, to make sure he never tries again. Lorenzo. He looked at her one last time. Stay here. Don't open the door for anyone but my men. I'll send word. Then he left. The door shut behind him. Emma stood there in the quiet apartment, lips still tingling from his kiss, heart pounding with fear and something bigger. He was going to war because of her. And now, there was only one question left hanging in the air. How far will a mafia boss go to protect the florist he said was his? The night Lorenzo left, Emma barely slept. She sat on the couch, hugging a blanket, staring at the city lights outside the window. Every sound from the street made her flinch. Every minute that passed without a message made her stomach twist tighter. Hannah tried to calm her, but she knew it was useless. You can't calm a woman whose heart is somewhere dangerous. At 3 a.m, Emma saw headlights flash across the wall, an SUV pulling up outside. She ran to the window. For one horrible second, she thought it was someone else. Then she saw him step out. Lorenzo. Alive. She didn't realize she was crying until he walked in and saw her. He looked exhausted, his shirt stained, a cut on his cheek, knuckles scraped, coat hanging open. But his eyes found her first, and when they did, they softened in that way that made her forget to breathe. Are you hurt? She asked, voice shaking. No, he said. Not like that. She took a step closer. Then what? It's done, he said. He won't touch you again. What did you do? She whispered. He hesitated, then said quietly, I handled it. She didn't ask how. She didn't want to know. All she knew was that the man standing in front of her looked like someone who had just walked through fire for her. She reached up, touching his face gently where it was bruised. Lorenzo. He caught her hand, kissed it, closed his eyes. I told you I'd end it. You did, she said softly. But you look like you lost something. I did, he said. Time. She frowned. What does that mean? It means I thought I had more of it with you. Before she could answer, his phone buzzed again. He checked the screen, jaw tightening. Business? She asked. Always, he said. But tonight, I'm not answering. He put the phone on the counter, turned it off, and looked at her like he was making a decision. Emma, come here. She hesitated. Why? Because I'm tired of talking through doors, he said. She crossed the room slowly. When she reached him, he didn't touch her right away. He just looked, memorizing her face like a man who didn't trust the world to let him see it again. Then his hands came up, holding her waist, pulling her closer. The kiss this time wasn't soft. It was desperate, raw, full of everything they hadn't said. Her hands slid to his shoulders. His heart pounded against hers, and for a moment there was no mafia, no danger, no city, just the man who had chosen her and the woman who couldn't let him go. When he finally pulled away, their foreheads rested together. I shouldn't have let it get this far, he murmured. It's already too far, she said. He smiled against her hair. Yeah. They fell asleep like that, clothes still on, exhaustion winning. When she woke up, the sunlight made everything look softer, almost normal. Lorenzo was still asleep on the couch beside her, one arm draped across her waist. She studied his face. Without the hard expression, he looked younger, almost peaceful. She thought of the life he could have had if he hadn't been born into power. And for the first time she realized she wanted to save him from it, the way he'd tried to save her. He stirred and opened his eyes. You're staring. You talk in your sleep, she said. He smiled faintly. Did I say anything interesting? You said my name. He reached up, brushed a strand of hair from her face. Then I was dreaming something good. Later that morning, while he took a call in the other room, Emma wandered near the kitchen. She wasn't snooping. At least, she told herself she wasn't. But something caught her eye on the table. A folder, thick, unlabeled, half open. She hesitated, then curiosity won. Inside were pages, printed, her name at the top of one, her address, her sister's, old bills, photos of her stall, even one of her walking Mason home from school. Her throat tightened. She flipped through more pages, background check forms, bank statements. The first time she'd met him, he already knew all of this. The world seemed to tilt under her feet. She stepped back, trying to breathe. The noise from the other room, his low voice on the phone, grew distant, muffled by the ringing in her ears. He walked in just as she was still holding the folder. Lorenzo froze. Emma, he said slowly, put that down. Her hands trembled. What is this? Information, he said carefully. For your safety. My safety? She said, her voice rising. You knew where I lived before you even asked my name. I had to, he said. No, you wanted to. You wanted control. That's not... You tracked my sister, she said, eyes filling. Her building, her job. There are pictures of her son, Lorenzo. He stepped closer, voice low but firm. Because they could have used them to reach you. You don't get to decide what's mine, who's mine, or how close they can get, she cried. You don't own me. He closed his eyes, fighting to keep calm. That's not what this is. Then what is it? She asked, shaking. Tell me what this is, because right now, it feels like I fell in love with someone who never gave me a choice. That word, love, hung between them, heavy and real. Lorenzo opened his eyes. Emma, I didn't do this to trap you. I did it to protect you. By lying, I never lied. You hid the truth. He exhaled. Yes, because I knew the second you saw what I was capable of, you'd run. And you were right, she said softly. I should have. Her voice broke. He reached for her hand, but she stepped back. Don't, she whispered. Just don't. He froze, every part of him wanting to go after her but knowing he shouldn't. Emma, he said quietly, you're angry because I didn't trust you, but you're safe because I didn't trust anyone. Safe? She said bitterly. I'm locked in a place I didn't choose, watched by men I don't know. My life's not mine anymore. He took a breath, trying again. You're alive. That's not the same thing. Silence. Then softly he said, I don't know how to be anything else, Emma. I don't know how to love without control. She looked at him, eyes glistening. Then maybe you shouldn't love me at all. Those words hit harder than any bullet ever could. He stepped back like she'd actually struck him. For a long moment he just looked at her, the woman who had turned his world upside down. And then he nodded once. I'll give you space, he said quietly. But I'm not walking away. He turned and left the apartment. The door clicked shut. Emma stood there, breathing hard, trying not to break. That night, the place felt emptier than ever. Hannah noticed immediately. What happened? She asked. Emma didn't answer. She just sat on the couch, staring at the window. He did something, Hannah guessed. Tell me. Emma told her everything, the folder, the surveillance, the control, the argument. Hannah listened, then said, He's not wrong, Em. Emma turned to her, shocked. What? He shouldn't have done it behind your back, but he's right about one thing. You're alive because he's 3 steps ahead of everyone. That's how he survives. Emma shook her head. That's not love. Maybe not for you, Hannah said, but maybe for him it is. Hours later, Emma sat alone again. She didn't expect him to come back. She told herself she didn't want him to. But when the door clicked open quietly around midnight, she looked up anyway. He stood there, eyes tired, coat damp from rain. He didn't speak right away. He just took off his gloves and set them down slowly. I can't sleep knowing you're angry with me, he said. I'm not angry, she said quietly. I'm hurt. He nodded. I deserve that. Why did you come back? To tell you something before it's too late. She waited. When my father was alive, he said, he used to say that trust was weakness, that love made men soft. He died in a warehouse because he trusted someone who smiled at him. Emma's chest tightened. I grew up believing he was right, Lorenzo continued. That control was safety. That distance kept you alive. And then you came along and I realized maybe he was wrong. She stared at him, tears forming again. He stepped closer, slowly. I didn't check your background to own you, Emma. I did it because I was already falling for you the second I saw you, and I knew what kind of world I lived in. I needed to know how to keep you alive in it. Her eyes softened. Then why didn't you tell me? Because I didn't know how to tell you without losing you. She swallowed. You still might. He gave a small, broken smile. Maybe. But at least you'll know the truth now. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small envelope. Here. She hesitated. What is it? Your stall, he said. Paid for 6 months ahead. The rent, the license, all of it. It's yours. No one can touch it. She stared at him. You didn't have to do that. I wanted to, he said. You told me once you just wanted to open a real shop one day. I found one. It's small, but it's yours when you're ready. Her breath caught. You really listened. I always listened, he said. She looked down at the envelope, then up at him. You scare me, Lorenzo. I scare everyone, he said. No, she whispered. Not like that. You scare me because you make me want to believe you. He stepped closer again. Then believe me. She searched his eyes for a long moment. Then finally she whispered, I do. He reached out, brushing away a tear from her cheek. That's all I needed to hear. For a while, neither of them moved. The rain outside hit the windows, soft and steady, like the sound of a heartbeat. Lorenzo finally said, "I'll fix this. All of it. And when it's over, I want you to come back to that stall. To your flowers. To your peace." "And you?" she asked. He smiled faintly. "I don't get peace. Men like me don't." "That's not true," she said. "You just never had anyone to give it to you." He looked at her, then like he wanted to believe that could be true. But somewhere deep down, they both knew. Peace was never free in his world. That night, when he left again, he didn't look back. Emma watched him go, her heart breaking for the man who wanted to love her, but didn't know how to be gentle with the world. She whispered to the empty room, "Come back to me." Outside, in the rain, Lorenzo got into his car and told Vince, "It's time." "Time for what?" Vince asked. "To make sure no one ever uses her name again," Lorenzo said. His reflection in the glass showed a man ready to end a war. And while Emma tried to sleep, the city around them braced for what came next. Because Lorenzo Moretti was done defending. He was about to attack. The city didn't know a war was happening. On the surface, New York kept moving. Cabs, coffee, office people, tourists. But in the parts of the city that didn't show up on travel guides, people felt it. Doors staying closed, men making phone calls in Italian, cars following other cars, businesses pretending nothing was wrong. Emma didn't see any of it. Lorenzo had made sure of that. For 2 days she stayed in the condo with Hannah and little Mason. Lorenzo texted, short messages, nothing incriminating. "I'm fine. Stay inside. Almost done. Almost done." She held on to those words. At night she would stand by the window, looking out at the water, wondering where he was, wondering if he was safe, wondering if she would get a knock on the door at 2 a.m. saying he wasn't coming back. She didn't want to think like that, but loving a man like him meant thinking like that. On the third night around 9, Vince came upstairs. "Boss will be here soon," he said. Emma's heart leapt. "He's okay?" Vince nodded. "Better than the others." It wasn't a joke, it was a fact. Emma sat on the couch, trying to look calm. Hannah stayed in the bedroom, giving them space. The apartment was quiet. Then she heard footsteps in the hallway. The door opened. Lorenzo walked in. He was alive. She stood up so fast the blanket fell from her lap. He looked tired. There was a bruise high on his cheekbone, a cut on his lower lip. His knuckles were bandaged. He had changed clothes, but the way he moved told her he'd been in something heavy. But his eyes, those green eyes, were on her. Only her. "It's done," he said. She ran to him. He opened his arms and she went right into them. No hesitation, no shame. He held her tight, hand at the back of her head like he'd been waiting to do that since he left. She breathed him in. Rain, Cologne, city, Lorenzo. "You came back," she whispered into his chest. "I told you I would," he said. She pulled back just enough to look at him. "What happened?" He didn't lie. "Bianchi made a move. I made a bigger one. He won't bother you again." "Is he gone?" Lorenzo said simply. "And his people know who runs this city." She swallowed. "Did the police—" "Cole was there," he said, a hint of a smile playing at his mouth. "He saw who was attacking who. I think he realized I was cleaning up his mess. So we're safe?" "For now," he said. "As safe as you can be with me." She cupped his face gently. "I don't care about safe. I care about you coming home." He looked at her like that was the one thing he hadn't expected, that someone would say, "Come home" to him. "I like when you call this home," he said. "Then don't make me say goodbye again," she said. "I can't promise that," he said honestly. "My life will always pull me out that door. But I can promise I will always come back to you." She nodded, eyes wet. He wiped her tears with his thumb. "No more crying. I didn't fight half the city to see you cry." She laughed through the tears. "You're impossible. You chose me," he said. "Did I?" she teased. "Because sometimes it felt like you chose for me." He smirked. "I did, and I'd do it again." The next morning, for the first time in days, Lorenzo said, Get dressed. I want to show you something. Emma blinked. Now? Now. He drove her himself. No driver, no convoy, no extra cars. Just him and her in a black car, like a normal couple. He even wore a simple dark sweater instead of a suit. But even like that, he still looked like a man people didn't say no to. They drove to a quieter part of the city, where the streets had more brownstones and less noise. The car stopped in front of a small commercial space on a corner. Big glass front, clean sidewalk, sunlight spilling through. There was a paper taped to the door that said leased. Emma stared. Lorenzo. He got out, walked around, opened the door for her. Go see. She stepped out slowly, like she was afraid it would disappear. The inside was empty. White walls, wood floor, a little counter, a back room that could be a stock room. It smelled new. It looked like potential. She turned to him, eyes wide. You didn't. I did, he said. You bought this? Yes. For me? For us, he corrected gently. You'll run it. I'll make sure no one ever taxes you again. No one touches your door. No one stands outside. No one even parks wrong in front of it. This is yours. Her hand flew to her mouth. Lorenzo, this is my dream. I know, he said. You told me. I listened. She walked around the empty space, running her hand along the counter, looking at the window. I could put peonies here, and a fridge there, and a stand outside in the spring. He watched her, and his eyes were soft in a way they never were with anyone else. This is how I know you really fell for me, she said, laughing through the emotion. You did something normal. Careful, he said. I can still fill the back with men and guns. Please don't, she said. Let me have this one piece of the world that doesn't know your name. He nodded, serious now. This place will be clean. On paper, it won't even be tied to me. Detective Cole can stare at it all day. He won't find me. She looked at him. You thought of everything. I had to, he said, because you're going to work here alone sometimes. And I don't want to spend the rest of my life sending men to chase away idiots. The rest of your life, she repeated, smiling. That's a big promise for a mafia boss. He stepped closer, hands sliding to her waist. I don't make promises I won't keep. She placed her hands on his chest. Then say it. He knew what she wanted, but he wanted to say it his way. He looked around the empty shop. The future she didn't think she'd get because she fell in love with him. And then he looked back at her. And softer than the first day, without the arrogance, without the shock value, he said, I want the flowers, and you. This time she didn't laugh nervously. She didn't look away. She said, then you can have both. He kissed her in the empty shop, sunlight around them, the city outside moving on, not knowing a mafia boss was choosing a florist over a war. They opened the shop a month later. It wasn't a big party. That would attract attention. It was just her, Hannah, Mason running around with a tulip, and Lorenzo standing in the back in a dark coat, looking like a bodyguard who'd gotten lost in a flower store. An old lady walked in and said, These are beautiful. Thank you, Emma said, glowing. She's the best florist in the city, Lorenzo said from the back. The old lady looked at him. Husband? Emma blushed. Friend? Lorenzo's eyes gleamed. For now. Emma shot him a look that said, don't start, but the truth was, she liked the sound of that. She liked the idea of being his for real, not just under protection. That night when they closed the shop, he stayed to help her, rolling down the metal gate, turning off the lights. You know, she said, for a man who said he couldn't give me a normal life, you got pretty close. He leaned on the counter, watching her tidy up. I said I couldn't give you a quiet life. I never said I couldn't give you a happy one. She looked at him. Are we happy, Lorenzo? He didn't even pause. I am. She smiled. I am too. He straightened, walked to her slowly. Then we protect this. We? She teased. Not just your men? He shook his head. No, we. She liked that answer. He kissed her again. Slower this time, no rush, no fear of someone interrupting. His hands were warm on her back, hers slid up his shoulders. He deepened the kiss just a little, enough to remind her he wasn't a regular man in a flower shop. "Come home with me," he murmured against her lips. She chuckled. "Which one?" He smirked. "The one where I sleep." "Then yes?" Outside, across the street, a car sat idling. Not an enemy. Not Bianchi. Not the police. Just Detective Jason Cole. He watched the couple lock up the shop. He watched Lorenzo Moretti kiss the florist like a man who owned half the city and only cared about one corner of it. Cole shook his head, half amused. "Even mobsters fall, huh?" he muttered. He picked up his phone, wrote a note, and closed the case file on his lap. He wasn't going to touch this. Not today. Some things, even the law didn't break if they didn't have to. Back in the car, as Lorenzo drove her home, Emma rested her head on his shoulder. "You know this isn't over, right?" she said quietly. "Your world will always try to pull you back." He kissed her hair. "I know. And people will always test you. I know. And I'll always be the thing they use." He tightened his arm around her. "Not while I'm breathing." She smiled, eyes closing, then breathed a long time. He looked at her and, for the first time in years, allowed himself to think far. Years, not days. He could see it. The shop. The woman. Maybe a little girl running between flower buckets. Maybe Sunday dinners. Maybe a life half shadow, half sun. Not perfect, but theirs. He parked, turned off the engine, and before she could get out, he said, "Emma." She looked at him. "If I ever have to choose," he said, "between the business and you, I'll choose you." She searched his face. "That's dangerous." He nodded. "So are flowers." She laughed. "No, they're not." "They are," he said. "Yours were. They took down a mafia boss." She kissed him again, slow and smiling. Outside, the city kept its secrets. Inside the car, a florist and a mafia boss held on to the life they'd built in the middle of danger. And if somewhere, in another car, far away, someone was watching, planning, waiting for a chance, well, that would be another story. Because this one, the story of the pure florist and the mafia boss who said, "I want the flowers and you," this one ended the way it was supposed to. With her in his arms, with him choosing her, with flowers and love. If you enjoy stories like this, take a moment to subscribe to the channel. That's how I'll know you truly liked it. Even if you're watching on your TV, grab a second to join this family of fans who love emotional and heartfelt stories. Your support means everything, and it helps us bring you even more tales like this one.